Welcome to Stonebridge Animal Hospital. My name is Dr. Dan J. Benefiel, and I'd like to explain our protocols for vaccinations in dogs and cats today. We really love your animals here at the clinic, and we want to make sure that the disease prevention is the most important thing, and you understand exactly what you need or don't need with your vaccinations and everything like that. So I'm going to get right into it and tell you this little information pamphlet here, which is a health record to go home and to keep track of. It also helps me explain everything to you. This listing here is the most important vaccination for your dog. This indicates the 6 different way vaccine. We call it distemper parvo for short, but it's for distemper, hepatitis, leptospirosis, parainfluenza, parvo, and coronavirus. Each and every one of those diseases can and will kill your dog unless you vaccinate once a year. Very, very important vaccination. Some of these diseases can also be brought home from the grocery store or Target. It doesn't have to be in contact with the dog, so it's a very important vaccine. And with that, at our clinic here, we talk about the basic vaccination. We get that. That's $39, and this is free. This is the rabies vaccination. We do not charge for that. Most clinics in the area charge $40 to $50 for that. We charge $0. The tag and certificate is $20. That goes to the county, and that's a basic fee. Hence the $59 for basic vaccinations at our clinic here. That's important, but there are other things I do recommend. You can get that and then come back and get whatever else I recommend as far as taking care of your animal and the important part about that situation. The most important vaccine, other than the basic vaccination that I recommend at my clinic here, is what we call the LPG. Now that's for 2 extra types of leptospirosis over and above this vaccine. Let me explain about that. For years and years, the leptospirosis portion of this vaccine has always been given in here for 2 types of leptospirosis that affect dogs only. Approximately 9 years ago, we had an outbreak, not an epidemic, but an outbreak of 2 more types of leptospirosis that affect people and dogs and communicate between the 2. We had people in Downers Grove Hospital and other places very sick with kidney and liver damage, and their dogs died from the disease. So it's very, very important for this aspect. The first 2 or 3 years of that 9 years ago or so, we had a lot of dogs die and a lot of people get sick in the hospital. For that reason, the health department, myself, and most of my colleagues highly recommend a booster up for those 2 extra types of leptospirosis. We keep the price tag down on that, so everybody does it because we don't want this problem out there. Still highly recommended by the health department. It's a series of 2 shots. They're $16 each. You get one today, come back in 2 weeks to get another one. It would be free because you paid for both of them today. And that's important in one aspect. The other 2 optional vaccinations is Bordetella. In case you're going to board your own and go on vacation, you can always do that 2 weeks prior. You don't have to do it today if you don't want to. Lyme disease is important if you're going to take your dog out in the forest preserve, camping, or any place that might be deer and deer ticks. Most people don't understand there's about 1,000 different kinds of ticks out there. It specifically has to be the deer tick spread the disease. So if your dog is not in a place where deer are, deer were, or deer going to be, you probably don't need that vaccination. So it's important to do, though, if you're going to be in that. Even if you use a flea and tick preventative, it's still important because to get the vaccine if you're going to be in these areas, because the tick can still bite your dog, fall off dead, and still spread the disease to your dog at the same time. So it's still important to do that even though you have a flea and tick product that you utilize for your dog. 2 other things for basic care for your dog. One is a poop sample or a stool sample to check for worms inside the digestive tract. Routinely in this area we see about 14 different kinds of worms in the stools of dogs. 3 of those you can actually see with your eyes and should watch for those at all times. The rest are microscopic, cannot see unless we look under the microscope. There's no one medication you can buy from me, the store, anyplace else, kills more than 1 or 2 at a time. So it's very important to do this stool sample. And that's actually a recommendation from the CDC, the Community Disease Center in Atlanta, Georgia, that you do a stool sample each year in good hygiene because all of these parasites can infect you and your family. You cannot get the parasites theoretically by your dog licking in your mouth, but you can get the parasites by petting your dog and then not washing your hands after you, before you eat your cheeseburger or something like that. So that's very, very important. So good hygiene for your family and doing a stool sample at least once a year in this area. Actually, CDC recommends twice a year, but I think in this area once a month good. That is a $32 fee at our clinic here. The other aspect that's necessary, that's even more important, because these parasites I just talked about in the stool, they usually won't kill your dog cause a problem, but possibly infect you and your family. But heartworms are completely deadly, very deadly. Heartworms are spread by mosquitoes. So anytime your dog is outdoors for more than 30 seconds, they're possibly getting bit by a mosquito and getting heartworms. Once they get heartworms, they look like this inside their heart. Cost you about $1,000 to $1,500 to treat them with no guarantee of survival. They usually don't make it. Even if they make it, these small fragments of these parasites break off, float over in the bloodstream and cause little blockages in the spleen, liver, kidneys, and the dog suffers a lot. So it's extremely important to prevent this disease so they don't get it rather than treating them after the fact, because it costs you a lot more money, it's a lot harder on your dog, and they suffer tremendously. So it's important to do a heartworm test each year, which is a blood test, and keep them on heartworm preventative. We do recommend heartworm preventative year-round, but it's probably okay if you would happen to want to save a few dollars, not to do it December, January, and February, but do it March through November. That would be the most important things. We do recommend year-round so you don't forget to start in March, and that's the only reason. Those are kind of the basic things for a dog. The other aspect is talking about, that's adult dogs, puppies, and the aspect of a series of vaccines. The series of vaccines is also indicated in here in the first aspect of this brochure. And it's important, as far as I'm concerned, to do the series before 16 weeks. After 16 weeks, it's not necessary. 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks of age. Why do we have to do those shots on a puppy that realm? Because once you give a shot at 6, 8, 10, or 12 weeks of age, it takes 2 weeks to develop any immunity whatsoever. Then it only lasts for 16 days or so. So it's very important to overlap them so they're protected at this very early age, because they can get disease. Sadly to say, I've seen a few people kind of skip 1 or 2 of these and actually get parvo or some of the other deadly diseases and succumb to them, and it really upsets me. So it's very important to keep the series up as they're puppies. And then once you get to the 16-week situation, then you're good for the year. And that's different vaccines and kind of the ones I've already went over with you during the previous aspect for adult dogs. That's it pretty well for dogs, and then maybe I will do cats next, okay? This is a protocol for cat vaccinations. If your cat does not go outside and hasn't gone outside and has a negative feline leukemia FIV test, then these are the basic vaccinations you need. As far as I'm concerned, of course, you need the rabies, which is the law, which is still free at our clinic, as long as you get the feline leukemia and actually it's a 5-way December vaccination color with the Calica virus in it also. And that basic realm of that situation with tag is $78. And that would be good. That includes the exam. We do not charge exam fees or clinic fees at all, as long as you're getting vaccinations or routine procedures. The other aspect is if you bring a dog, as far as my office fees are concerned, if you bring a dog or a cat in here for a problem, we do charge you an office fee. That is $45, but we don't charge you additional. We feel it's very necessary for the animal to get better. You need to come back a few times to make sure we're doing really, really good and check up on the animal. So you don't have to be afraid about getting charged another fee for that aspect, so it makes people come back more, and we can make sure that your dog gets over the disease or the cat gets over the disease situation in a much speedier aspect. It saves you thousands of dollars over the other clinics in the area. So it's very, very important to do these kinds of things, and that's a basic aspect of our clinic here, and thank you very much.